Chosen one, this message hasn't reached you by chance. You have spent years mastering the art of fending for yourself, wearing that skill like a crown forged in fire. You survived betrayals, escaped manipulation, and rebuilt your life brick by brick without any outside help. This independence is legendary, but here is the truth. The fortress that saved you might be exactly what is shielding you today from what you have prayed for. A small reality check is in order. Hyper-independence is intoxicating until you realize that even miracles cannot cross a no-visitors sign. If you feel this deep within, stay here, because what is coming will require you to open a door you swore to keep shut. Post the word ready in the comments if you know it is time to form a sovereign alliance. Let us begin. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to be strong. You didn't read it in a book or copy someone else's recipe. You forged it in a furnace only you remember, a place where the air was so thin you learned to breathe through sheer stubbornness. This hyper-independence everyone talks about. It isn't just a quirk, it's a legally binding spiritual contract, signed in ink and mixed with your own silence. It happened in an instant, impossible to pin to a date, but your body remembers it. Perhaps it was the night the person who was supposed to fight for you gave up. Perhaps it was the afternoon your truth was tested and no one dared to bear witness. Or perhaps it was even smaller, 1,000 micro-disappointments, until you understood that waiting for rescue was just another form of self-harm. During that unceremonious hour, invisible to the world, you became your own government, your own army, your own economy. You drafted the constitution of a nation of one. You established the laws. Trust is earned in blood, dependence is treason, sovereignty is survival. No parliament, no committee, just you, the sole architect and only citizen. You fortified the borders of your energy with extreme vigilance. While most people can't even write correctly, you developed strategies for every type of intruder, from blatant manipulators to those who smiled too brightly when you were weak. You stockpiled provisions in the form of skills. You learned to heal your own heart and fund your own finances. Dreams repair your own roof and diagnose your own storms. If there was a shortage, you adapted. If there was an invasion, you repelled it. You became so efficient at self-protection that even blessings struggled to get clearance. And here's what no one tells you about building this kind of sovereignty. It works so well that years can pass without a single breach. Your life may look unshakable from the outside, but a fortress is still a place of confinement, even if you are the one who built it. This treaty you signed with yourself contained no clause for what would happen when peace finally returned, no addendum for what to do once the war was over. But the army stayed on duty. Your soldiers, those reflexes, those defensive postures, continued to patrol your heart long after the last enemy had gone home. They didn't know the mission had changed. You didn't tell them because you hadn't realized it yourself until recently, until the wall began to respond. Not with words, but in the way silence feels heavier than before, in the way your victories echo in an empty room, in the way you notice that even safety, when excessive, eventually tastes like stale air. You are here now because deep down, the commander and the citizen share the same truth. The treaty must be amended, not discarded. Amended, because what is coming is not an invasion, but an ally crossing the border, flying a flag you've never seen but instantly recognized. And this time the gates won't be forced. They will open on your terms, by your hand, because you aren't surrendering your sovereignty, you are preparing to share it. At first, you mistake this for the usual calm you've cultivated and defended. You've accustomed your life to this silence. No drama, no chaos, no knocks on the door you didn't approve. It's the silence you fought to preserve, the quiet you earned. But suddenly, something shifts. The silence transforms. It is no longer the satisfying hum of a world kept at bay. It is heavier, like velvet draped over something longing for movement. You feel it in the way your thoughts repeat, in the strangely incomplete feeling of your victories. It isn't loneliness per se, it's a signal, a subtle frequency from within. Those same walls you built, you don't hear a word, but you feel the fortress trying to speak to you. It's telling you it has fulfilled its mission and is ready to be repurposed. For years, these walls absorbed your grief, your rage, your resolve. They stood through storms and seasons, preserving your spirit. They were loyal, obedient, and unyielding. But stone remembers, and lately, your walls vibrate with a different kind of memory, not of the battles you survived, but of the doors that should have opened. You perceive it in small ways. You linger longer than usual at your window, eyes fixed on the horizon as if waiting for a silhouette to appear. You find yourself leaving a light on in the hallway, not out of need, but because it makes the atmosphere feel less heavy. You notice how often your gaze drifts toward the doors, those doors that haven't been opened in years, and you imagine for a split second what it would be like to let someone in without scrutinizing them first. At first, you resist this idea. Hyper-independence does not go quietly. Your inner guards will call it an error in judgment. We've seen what happens when you trust too easily, they say, parading memories like evidence in court. Betrayal here, abandonment there, manipulation hidden in plain sight. But this isn't the same energy. It isn't recklessness, it's a rising preparation. The difference is in your body. This preparation doesn't feel like adrenaline. It feels like breath returning to a room you didn't know was empty. It's as if the walls are exhaling with you. The fortress isn't asking you to destroy it, it's asking you to let it evolve. It no longer wants to be a prison, it wants to be a lighthouse, still strong, still unshakable, but no longer hiding what it holds. It wants to shine, and perhaps deep down, so do you. Because you didn't build this place to live in fear forever, you built it to survive until love could fully find you. The whisper in the walls is your own voice echoing from the future, saying it is time. You can keep the crown, but make room for another throne. The doors will open not because they were forced, but because you want them to. The guards will step down, not because they are weak, but because their mission has shifted from protection to welcoming. It is in this precise moment that you realize the fortress never wanted to keep everyone out. It only wanted to protect you until the right person arrived. And now, somewhere beyond those walls, that person is already walking toward you. There is a science to what is happening, but it isn't one you'll find in textbooks. It isn't about attraction as the world understands it. It is about the rare physics of a soul recalibrated for union. For years, your field operated as a repulsive force, a high-voltage perimeter designed to prevent interference, and it performed perfectly. But the moment you issued that silent sovereign decree, the moment you declared you were ready, you embedded new instructions into the energetic architecture of your life. Your magnet didn't weaken, it pivoted, and that single degree of rotation changed everything. What is approaching you now isn't a matter of chance. It isn't law of attraction in the common sense. It is something far more precise, like two rare elements whose atomic structures are coded to bond only with one another. In the open market of human relations, you are no longer broadcasting a general signal. You are emitting a frequency so specific it is useless to anyone except the one who perceives it perfectly. That is why this feels different. You aren't suddenly attracting everyone, thank God. You aren't opening the floodgates to the curious. You've sent a narrowband transmission, encrypted with your integrity, your resilience, and the precise geometry of your healed scars. Only one soul on the planet possesses the matching encryption key. They carry it within them without knowing why, never having fit in anywhere else. And this is where human laws break down. In the physical world, paths cross by chance, through cities, events, or shared circles. But at this level, your magnetic field bends probability itself. It will orchestrate detours, delays, and a divine timing so precise the meeting will seem inevitable in hindsight. Every missed turn, every sudden urge to be somewhere you hadn't planned, serves this unique convergence. You might start to feel them before you see them. It manifests in microbursts, a wave of emotion that isn't yours, a phantom sent from nowhere, a warmth on your shoulders as if someone just walked into the room. Their field is already interacting with yours, not in a way that drains you, but in a way that prepares you. It's like two satellites aligning from miles away, their signals sharpening with every rotation until the lock is complete. And because this transcends human laws, the timing will never make sense on paper. It might happen in the middle of your busiest season or right after you swore you were done looking. It is the signature of a higher coordination. It doesn't consult your calendar, it consults your readiness from the outside. It will feel like a coincidence, but you will experience it as recognition, not because of looks or a scripted romance, but because your entire being will register, you are here. What is happening now isn't just a romance unfolding, it is a recalibration of your very reality grid. Your fortress has become a lighthouse, your decree the ignition, and your magnetism the navigation system drawing a specific ship into your harbor. And they are closer than you think. It begins with flashes you can't explain, a laugh you've never heard that seems to echo in your memory for years, a scent in the air of salt water, cedar, or fresh rain that stops you in your tracks. Even if there is no ocean, forest, or storm nearby, you aren't imagining it. You are perceiving echoes of a timeline where you and this person already exist together. In the language of the unseen, time is not a straight line but a woven fabric. Threads of the future can mingle with the present, brushing against your senses just long enough for you to notice. These aren't just signs, they are transmissions, fragments of a reality already alive, already pulsing, already welcoming you. A reality your body begins to synchronize with before your mind can even rationalize it. Dreams become the first meeting place, not blurry, disjointed dreams, but vivid, immersive ones with colors brighter than waking life. You might not see their face clearly, but you will feel the essence, the texture of their presence, the way they stand, the rhythm of their voice. Sometimes, you'll wake up with an inexplicable smile, as if returning from a visit. Other times, you'll carry a fragment of conversation all day, not remembering the words, only the weight of what was exchanged. Then come the coincidences that feel too. You deliberately ignore the irresistible pull you feel toward a book, a cafe, or a street corner for no apparent reason, only to realize later it's connected to them. You meet someone who shares their name or a striking resemblance in their mannerisms. Songs you haven't heard in years start playing at unexpected moments, each carrying a frequency that softens your chest. Even your emotions begin to experience sudden interference. A wave of warmth washes over you, not from your own joy, but from theirs. Or you feel a deep, steady calm when you should be anxious. It's as if their nervous system is sending yours a preview. This is what it will feel like when I arrive. And the most surprising part is that your body doesn't reject it. For someone who has lived in safe mode, the reflex would be to flinch, to question, to block. But instead, you notice your shoulders relaxing, your breath deepening. Your future self is already training your present self to recognize safety when it arrives. That is why resisting these interferences is useless. They aren't trying to control you, they are trying to prepare you. Contact has already been established in the field. The physical meeting is just the final step. So when an unexpected detail pops up in your life, a phrase they will later say, a place they love, an object they cherish, don't dismiss it as mere imagination. It is your own destiny reaching out, closing the gap between what is and what is inevitable. It is your future brushing against your present, reminding you that you've already agreed to this meeting in a world where clocks don't exist. Every glimpse is a clue, every flash is proof that you aren't waiting for this to be written. You are walking toward a chapter already signed. When they arrive, and they will arrive, your old operating system will activate like a security system on alert, not because they are a threat, but because your body has been conditioned to view any attempt at closeness as suspicious. This is the final test. It isn't about them proving their worth, but about you proving to yourself that you can meet love without seeking to protect yourself. The first new law is discernment rather than suspicion. Suspicion is a reflex, a generalized presumption of guilt that contaminates the present with the toxins of the past. It pushes you to scan for red flags before even looking for positive ones. Discernment is the ability to observe calmly, to feel the truth of the present moment without blurring it with yesterday's betrayals. When you meet them, your body will register a stillness, not an absence of intensity, but a whisper of safety. Your mind may panic, but your deepest self will know. Trust that stillness. The second law is receiving as a sovereign act. You have mastered giving, you have mastered doing. You have carried your own burden, and much more, for so long that letting someone else contribute might feel like a loss of control. Not receiving is not a weakness, it is a recognition. When they offer help, contribution, or sharing, it isn't an insinuation of your incompetence. It is a declaration of their willingness to be by your side whenever you accept. You aren't diminishing your independence, you are validating their power. Two sovereigns exchange not out of need, but out of choice. The third law is vulnerability as a strategy. Not the kind where you parade your wounds seeking pity, nor the forced transparency some mistake for authenticity. It is a selective revelation, voluntarily lowering the drawbridge for someone who has already proven their honor. It is showing yourself to be vulnerable not by obligation, but by choice. It is saying, here are my uncertainties, I need you, and knowing that if the other person approaches that space with gentleness, you strengthen the foundations of your union. These rules are not for the other person to follow, but for you. They are the protocols that allow your heart to blossom in this new reality without folding back in on itself. For if you welcome your soulmate with the same defenses you built against your enemies, you will end up defending yourself against the very thing you implored. And make no mistake, the old pattern will try to take over. It will tell you it's safer to handle everything alone. It will whisper that dependence is dangerous. But you aren't being asked to depend. You're being invited to co-reign, to share the burden, not because you can't carry it, but because carrying it together decuples the creative potential. These new rules aren't temporary adjustments. They are the permanent constitution of your shared kingdom. They ensure that what you build together is not only beautiful but also lasting. They are the laws that protect love without stifling it. Freedom and intimacy in the same hand. Follow them, and you won't just preserve your sovereignty, you will expand it. Because the moment you understand that sharing power does not dilute it, the old definition of strength collapses, and only the truth remains. True power does not reside in solitude, but in union without losing oneself. The arrival of this soulmate is not the end of your story, but the starting point of a mission impossible to accomplish alone. This is where the myth of happily ever after fades and the reality of happiness in motion begins. For years, you have been an unshakable beam, illuminating dark rooms, stabilizing chaos with your presence, and transmuting heaviness without ever asking for anything in return. You have been a source of energy unto yourself, sufficient to power the field assigned to you. But there are frequencies, missions, and points of convergence in this world calibrated for two, not for dependence or imbalance, but for amplification. When you unite, you don't just add to one another, you multiply. The union forms a new substance, a spiritual alloy that neither could have created alone. This alloy is resistant to corruption, immune to manipulation, and capable of self-healing when exposed to lower frequencies. This isn't symbolic, it is energetic alchemy. Your combined field becomes a living fortress that not only defends but radiates together. You will enter spaces that would have felt heavier alone and see them transform in minutes. Arguments will vanish in your joint presence. Confusion within a group will find clarity without the need for explanation. You will discover that your combined stability is a form of spiritual combat, not loud, but undeniable. And this is no accident. Your paths were fortified separately so that when the connection was established, neither would collapse under the weight of the other. On the contrary, your strengths intertwine. One carries the vision, the other anchors it. One wields the sword, the other heals and protects. One speaks to the crowd, the other whispers strategy from the wings. This mission may manifest in building something tangible, a business rooted in integrity, an art form carrying coded light, a community that becomes a sanctuary for awakening. Or it may be quieter but just as powerful, living a life so harmonious together that your home becomes a field where others feel safe, a source of joy, a reference point for what is possible. Progress in this world is often isolation disguised as independence. Your union becomes the antidote, a living demonstration that strength and connection are not opposites. Your joint presence will challenge the old conditioning of others, the idea that safety requires solitude or that freedom requires avoiding commitment. They will see you and sense the lie, and those old beliefs will begin to crumble. But understand this, the mission is not a burden, it is a birthright. It is not an obligation, it is the natural overflow of two whole beings joining forces. When your union aligns with a precise purpose, you will not feel exhausted, but nourished. The more you invest together, the more you generate. And side by side, you will know that it was never just about personal love, but about creating a unique frequency, a sound signature that will continue to resonate long after you are gone. The mission isn't in the future. The moment you take each other's hand, it begins. Every great union, however divinely orchestrated, needs a structure to maintain its power. It's not about control, but capacity. Without a plan of action, even the most sacred connection can falter. If energy leaks, if roles blur, or if momentum fades, your partnership is too strategic for that. The first principle of your joint operations is clarity of roles without rigidity. You will find that certain responsibilities naturally fall to one of you, not because the other is incapable, but because the energy flows more efficiently. Thus, one of you may be the visionary who sees thought patterns, prophetic insights, and impossible dreams turned into a plan. The other may be the builder, grounding those visions into steps, timelines, and tangible results. These roles are not fixed, they can evolve with the seasons. The key is to honor them without rivalry, knowing that differing strengths are not threats but reinforcements. The second principle is the alchemy of conflict. Disagreement is inevitable, but in this union, it is also a source of information. Friction points reveal what needs refining. You will learn to pause and examine the tension without letting it consume the foundation. One of you can create a space of silence while the other expresses raw frustration. The other can mirror the truth without shame or judgment. In this alchemy, conflict becomes a portal to deeper alignment, not a crack in the wall. The third principle is nervous system synchronization. This is rarely discussed, yet essential. Two sovereigns joining forces must learn to co-regulate under pressure: shared breathing, deliberate stillness, intentional eye contact. These are not just romantic gestures. They are operational tools that maintain balance when external pressures try to destabilize it. The fourth principle is sacred transparency. This means no unspoken contracts, no silent resentments, no assumption that the other should just know. You will speak openly about your resources, your energy, your emotional needs, and your spiritual aspirations. You will share successes and failures without fear of losing face. This level of transparency keeps the system healthy and free from harmful influence. No secrets can hide. The final principle is time dedicated to the third entity. Your union itself is a living being, a third intelligence born from your joining. It needs nurturing, which involves creating regular rituals, not for you individually, but for the relationship itself. Weekly councils to check in on your mission, retreats to reconnect with your shared why, and moments of quiet to let the energy field vibrate freely without interference. When these principles are integrated into your daily life, the blueprint is not felt as a restriction but as a vessel for abundance. It provides your union with the necessary channels to distribute its energy without draining either partner. The outside world may not perceive these mechanisms, but it will see the results: stability, clarity, and synchronicity in your actions. They may speak of luck or alchemy, never realizing they are witnessing the structured architecture of a conscious partnership. In truth, this blueprint is the silent guardian of your destiny, ensuring that what was built in divine timing is maintained by divine order, allowing you to focus on the essential: creating, serving, and embodying the union you came here to be. Even with the plan in place, a final defense remains: the last locks on the doors of your heart. Subtle, often invisible until touched, these are reflexes that have survived every evolution, buried so deeply they become muscle memory. These last locks are not made of mistrust, but of lifestyle habits. They engage when you are offered rest, because once, rest meant vulnerability. They activate when you are asked to share a burden, because your history taught you that sharing often meant ending up alone. They whisper even when joy lasts too long, reminding you not to settle into a comfortable routine. The dissolving of these locks is not a demolition, but a patient untying through tiny acts of trust. This trust is born from moments so small they seem almost trivial: remembering a detail mentioned in passing, noticing the fatigue in your eyes before you say a word, and gently lifting the weight. They seek to compliment you. They protect your absence when you aren't there, not out of obligation, but because they understand your name is integral to their integrity. Every time they act this way, another bond loosens. Every time you respond without hesitation, another chain breaks. This process will also require your conscious cooperation. When the old alarm sounds, pause before reacting and ask yourself, is this about the present moment, or an echo of the past? Choose to test the safety before reinforcing the walls. Let them prove to you that safety can be constant. Shared rituals will accelerate the unlocking. These are not grand ceremonies, but anchors in daily life. Morning check-ins where you share your internal state, evening debriefs of small victories and invisible efforts, simple gestures like making tea together or walking the same path at dusk, maintaining silence without discomfort. Each act communicates: this space is safe, this presence is stable. In time, you will notice the absence of an old tension in your body. Your jaw will relax without you trying. Your breathing will deepen in their presence without conscious effort. Perhaps most deeply, you will find yourself planning with them rather than around them. The final locks dissolve. You don't lose the fortress. You gain access to its gardens. The doors remain intact, but they are no longer welded shut. Visitors still need authorization, but your soulmate has permanent clearance. With them inside, the fortress looks less like a bunker and more like a home. This transformation isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It is felt in the ease of your mornings and the quiet confidence of your evenings, in the way you move through the world knowing someone has your back, step by step. The final locks don't dissolve in a single moment. They vanish in a series of moments that all say the same thing: you are safe now. You can stop standing guard every second of the day. And when this truth finally anchors within you, you will realize something extraordinary. Freedom was never about doing everything alone, but about knowing you could, and now, choosing not to. When the change happens, it won't just be felt within your walls. It will be visible. Not through thunderous announcements, but through the undeniable shift in how you engage with the world. Those same people who once found you too much or too independent will speak of you in a different tone, even if they never admit why. It is a form of quiet vindication, Not because you're trying to prove anyone wrong, but because your life now testifies that you haven't given up your autonomy, you've reinforced it. The person by your side does not diminish your strength, they reflect it. People will notice before they even understand. They will see the serenity in your eyes, the kind that says you no longer carry the burden alone. They will feel your deeper breath and the serene confidence in your voice. They will watch you and your partner navigate trials without breaking, and it will challenge their own beliefs about what is possible. This is where the impact is felt. Some will be inspired. They will realize they were clinging to the myth that safety is only found in isolation. Your example will plant a seed, the idea that strength and intimacy are not incompatible. Others will feel challenged, perhaps hiding their unease behind criticism or questioning your choices. But deep down, they are struggling with the possibility that their story, that all love ends in loss or that dependence is weakness, is not a universal truth. Your union is a mirror they didn't ask to look into, but cannot avoid. Even strangers will feel it. Servers will linger at your table without knowing why. Children will watch you with sincere curiosity. Animals will approach without hesitation. The field you and your soulmate create is tangible, and its influence goes beyond impressions. It will alter destinies. People around you will make braver choices because your stability has shifted the frequency around them. Friends will take risks in love they swore they'd never take again. Colleagues will collaborate in ways they previously avoided. Some will step into their own form of sovereignty, realizing that watching you gave them permission to claim theirs. This is the profound purpose of public recognition, not vengeance, but resonance. Your life becomes a message saying it is possible. You can keep your crown and share the throne. As the influence spreads, it will reach places you will never see. Someone in another city will hear of you through a friend of a friend and find courage they didn't have before. Someone, seeing a photo of you and your partner, will feel a glimmer of hope in the middle of an ordinary day. Someone will remember you from years ago, the fortress, the reserved tone, and marvel silently at the transformation without ever saying a word. You won't seek this influence. It's not a campaign. It is the natural consequence of two sovereigns choosing union without compromise. In this sense, your justification is less about proving the past was wrong and more about proving the future is right, because the way you are together was always written. It doesn't happen with trumpets or a gathered crowd. There is no royal hall, no velvet aisle, no ceremonial crown passed from hand to hand. The coronation of two souls is quieter, but its authority is absolute. It begins the moment you both recognize it, not just with your eyes, but with that deep cellular knowledge that says, "We have been here before." It's the way the air changes when you stand next to each other, as if the atmosphere itself recognizes your joint presence. No one else needs to approve. No external structure can confer this title. The only authority that matters is the one you both carry within, and in that instant, it perfectly reflects your sovereignty. You remain sovereigns in your own right, but another crown now stands beside you. It doesn't replace or eclipse yours, it mirrors it. Two thrones equal in height, two sovereigns equal in strength. The reign of one is over, the reign of two begins. From this moment on, the fortress is no longer just a sanctuary, it is the capital of a shared kingdom. Its walls are still there, but they now frame gardens, halls, and rooms vibrant with shared creations. Every project you undertake, every decision made in harmony, becomes a royal decree written into the living archives of your union. This coronation is not just a private vow, it is a spiritual mission. It authorizes you to build beyond what either could have conceived alone. It calls you to shape spaces, ideas, and futures that bear the imprint of your joint design. It charges you to be visible when it matters, not for validation, but for those who need to witness living proof that union can preserve sovereignty. There is a gravity to this moment. You can feel the weight of lineage, as if invisible ancestors are leaning in, nodding in approval. Some fought for this without explicitly knowing it, others never saw it in their lifetime but left clues in your bloodline. Thus, you seal it. The coronation seals what the decree initiated. The call you sent out has been heard. The doors have opened, the final locks have dissolved, and now the crowns are placed. You are no longer a solitary guardian of your domain, you are half of a dynasty. Your legacy will not be written in the language of isolation, but in the shared text of co-creation. In this moment, you know something rare and unshakable. No force can undo what has been forged in this alignment, for it was not arranged by chance or manufactured by desperation. It was matured, shaped, and sanctioned by the same force that kept you apart until you were ready to stand as equals. From now on, every step you take will be together, not in the shadows, not in dependence, but in full light. 2 sovereigns, 2 crowns, 1 shared destiny. And the reign is only beginning. Breathe here. Let the weight of the journey settle in your chest, not as heaviness, but as an anchor. You have walked from the lonely watchtower of your hyper-independence to the open gates of a kingdom built for 2. Every step, every scar, every night spent on guard, every refusal to settle was part of the preparation. Now the air around you is different. It carries the charge of something imminent, the quiet whisper of a presence approaching, not to complete you, but to meet you, not to save you, but to walk beside you with the same assurance you have cultivated within yourself. You don't need to chase this. You don't need to overthink it to exhaustion. Your work now is to stay constant in the frequency you have claimed, in the decree you have already issued. Remember that readiness is not frantic, it is spacious. It makes